Shalom, good evening. So now we are with the sixth Beger. He will not tell the story of the seventh one, so it's like the last one in this story. The sixth one is the one that don't have end. The seventh one, he will say that is the one that don't have legs. So when we talk about problem with hand or with legs, we can easily understand that we talk about the horse and the donkey. If we talk about the two last, we say that the sixth one is a mule. But the mule is always connected to the horse. Yaakov and Yitzchak is the same personality, so they both have to do with the concept of having problem with the hand. Why they have problem with the hand? Because they are not Esav. Right? The ones that have good hand, it's Esav. It's not Yaakov. So the mule and the horse are both Yaakov. The snake, it is written that the snake bite the heel of the horse, about the blessing of Dan. Anoshech ikvei sus. Ikvei is the letter of Yaakov, the heel of the horse.
Right.
Right. So the horse has to do with Yaakov. The same thing, the mule, because we say that Yitzchak and Yaakov is the same personality. Right? Is the side of Hevel. Is a sacrifice. Is a priest and is a sacrifice. Is Avram and is Yitzchak, if we talk about just two forces. Is Avram, is Yitzchak, and is Yaakov, and is Esav instead of Avram, and is Yaakov. Esav is Avram, Yaakov is Yitzchak. So we talk about the ones that don't have end, it means we talk about, like it is written about the horse and the donkey. Our sage said that משענת הסוס רגליו, how you translate משענת הסוס רגליו?
The support of the horse is his legs.
It means, and the support of the donkey is his hand. It means when a horse standing on two, he's standing on his back legs. It means his legs. When the donkey stand on two, he stand on his front legs. It means on his head. Right? It's something in the nature. It means the donkey have strong hand and the horse have strong legs. Right. Strong hand, it means it can be I am a good musician. It can be I know how to fix things in this world. I am connected to this world.
Strong feet.
Strong feet. If we talk about holiness, strong feet, it means word of tikkun. It means there are a lot of vessels. It means strong feet. I have a lot of Torah, of Shas, of Kabbalah, I learn a lot, so I really have strong feet. And if it is a light of chaos, it means that it's not really strong feet.
Strong hands.
The light of chaos fell to this world, to the physical world. So in this world is good. So you have strong hand. Okay. So this there was a put it usually. Of course, it can be strong legs in this world too. It means if somebody have a lot of money, the money put you on your leg. If he's a billionaire, so. He's a snake.
Yes.
So he lost his legs. But still he replaced his legs of holiness, he replaced them with a lot of money. Because the money put you on your legs.
Right.
But really don't have legs. So everybody that he don't stand on it. Everybody that is not very well in this world, you can say that he have no legs. The legs, they leave the speech too. It's like the self-confidence. Regel means the right legs according to the book of Yesirah, lead the sense of speech. Okay, so it's connected together.
Right.
So it is somebody that don't have legs. It means he have nothing on this world that really you can put on this to build on this a building. Still he will build all the building of Mashiach, even he have nothing of this world, of the next world that have to do with legs. You don't have a big IQ. You don't know the Shas. You don't know the Bible. You don't have a very good memory. This means you don't have strong legs. He's not somebody that can be a politician, somebody that really know how to talk, somebody that know how to do business, somebody know how to cheat. It means he don't have strong legs, he have no legs. Still, he will put all the building with no legs. All right, so this is a snake, of course, the lie. We say that the lie have no legs, so how can you build something based on lie? How can? So this is a principle of the seven. But the one that came before is his opposite. So it's you have strong legs. It means somebody that learn. He have a personality that people will respect. You know, a real personality.
Right.
You know by heart all the Torah, all the Shas, all the Kabbalah. It means he have really strong legs.
Yeah.
He can talk.
Right.
He can talk by heart, give lessons for a few hours, and he know everything by heart. Right? If somebody like this, so he has strong legs.
Right.
But if he's practical with everything he's doing,
Practical.
to have a good hand, it means to be practical too. It's not practical.
Yeah.
He's not. He cannot bring the Mashiach. To bring the Mashiach, you have to be practical. To have a good hand, it's meant to be practical too. To be Esav, Maasi, it's practical in Hebrew. Maasi came from the word לעשות, Esav, to do.
Right.
All right, so we go to the sixth beggar.
On the sixth day, they were also rejoicing, and they yearned very much, saying, "How could the one without hands be brought here?" Suddenly he appeared and said, "Here I am, I have come to your wedding." He spoke to them in the same manner as the other beggars, and kissed them. Then he said, "You think there is something wrong with my hands? Actually, there is nothing wrong with my hands. I have great power in my hands. But I do not use the power in my hands in this physical world, since I need this power for something else entirely. Regarding this, I have the word of the water castle." Once a number of men were sitting together, and each one boasted about the power in his hands. One boasted that he had a certain power in his hands, and another boasted that he had a different power. Finally, one boasted that the power in his hands was such that if an arrow were shot, he could retrieve it. He had such great power in his hands that even after an arrow had been shot, he could return it and bring it back to him. I challenged him, "What kind of arrow can you retrieve? There are 10 types of arrows. This is because there are 10 types of poisons. When a person shoots an arrow, he first coats it with some type of poison. There are 10 types of poison. When one coats the arrow with the first type of poison, it does a certain degree of harm. And if the arrow is coated with the second type of poison, it does worse harm. Thus there are 10 types of poison, in each one more harmful than the other. That is why there are 10 types of arrows. All the arrows are actually the same, but since there are different poisons with which the arrows are rubbed, and there are 10 types of poison, it is considered as if there are 10 types of arrows. I therefore asked him, what kind of arrow can you bring back? I also asked him if he could retrieve the arrow only before it hits its victim, or if he could bring it back even after it hit. To the second question he replied, I can retrieve an arrow even after it hits its target. However, to the first question he said that he could only retrieve one type of arrow. I said to him, if this is true, then you cannot heal the queen's daughter. If you can only turn back one type of arrow, you cannot heal her. One boasted that he had such power in his hands that whenever he took or received something from another, he was actually giving it to him. For him, the very act of receiving was an act of giving. Therefore, he was a master of charity. I asked him what type of charity he gave, since there are 10 types of charity. He replied that he gave a tithe. I said to him, if this is so, you cannot heal the queen's daughter. You cannot even approach the place where she is. You can only go through one wall. You cannot get to where she is. Then one of the men boasted about the power in his hands, saying that there were officials in the world. These are highly placed people who are in charge of cities and nations. Each one needs wisdom. Through his hands he could give them wisdom. He did this by laying hands on them. I asked him, what type of wisdom can you confer with your hands? There are 10 types of wisdom. When he replied, what kind of wisdom? I said to him, if this is the case, you cannot heal the queen's daughter. You cannot understand her pulse, since there are 10 types of pulse. You can only confer one type of wisdom and therefore only understand one type of pulse. Then one of the men boasted that he had such great power in his hands that when there was a storm, he could hold it back with his hands. Then with his hands he could make the wind blow with the proper force so that the wind was beneficial. I asked him, what kind of wind can you hold with your hands? There are 10 kinds of winds. He described the type of wind that he could hold, and I said, if that's the case, you cannot heal the queen's daughter. You can only play one type of melody. She can only be healed through melody. And there are 10 types of melody, but you can only play one type of melody out of these 10. All the people there spoke up and asked me, what is your ability? I replied, I can do what you cannot do. In each of the cases that you discussed, there are 9 portions that you cannot accomplish. I can accomplish them all. This is the story. Once there was a king who desired a queen's daughter. He made all kinds of plots to capture her until he was finally successful and took her captive. Then the king had a dream. The queen's daughter was standing over him and she killed him. When he woke up, he took this dream to heart. He summoned all the dream interpreters, and they all said that it would come true in its literal meaning, that she would kill him. The king couldn't decide what to do with her. If he killed her, it would grieve him. If he sent her away, this would anger him, since another man would then have her. This would frustrate him very much, since he had worked so hard to get her, only to have her belong to another man. Furthermore, if he exiled her and she ended up with another man, there would be all the more chance of the dream coming true. With an ally, it would be even easier for her to kill him. Still, he was afraid because of the dream and did not want to keep her near him. Therefore, the king did not know what to do with her. As a result of the dream, his love for her gradually began to wane. As time passed, his desire for her grew less and less. The same was true for her. Her love for him declined more and more until she hated him. Eventually she fled. The king sent his men to search for her. When they returned, they reported that she was near the water castle. This was a castle made of water. It had 10 walls, one inside the other, all made of water. The floors inside this castle were also made of water. This castle also had trees and fruit, all made of water. It goes without saying how beautiful this castle was and how unusual. A castle of water is certainly something wonderful and unusual. It is impossible for anyone to enter the water castle. It is made entirely of water, and anyone entering it would drown. Meanwhile, the queen's daughter, who had fled to the castle, was going around the water castle. The king was informed that she was circling the castle. The king took his army and set out to capture her. When the queen's daughter saw them coming, she decided that she would flee into the castle. She would rather drown than be captured by the king and have to remain with him. There was also the possibility that she would survive and be able to actually get into the water castle. When the king saw her fleeing into the water, he said, "If this is how it is," and he gave orders to shoot her, saying, "If she dies, she dies." The soldiers shot her and hit her with all 10 types of arrows, rubbed with 10 types of poison. She ran into the castle and entered into it. She went through the gates and the walls of water. The walls of water had such gates. She passed through all 10 walls of the water castle until she came to its interior. When she got there, she fell unconscious. I healed her. Someone who does not possess all 10 types of charity cannot enter all 10 walls. He will drown in the water there. The king and his army tried to pursue her, but they all drowned in the water. I, on the other hand, was able to go through all 10 walls of water. These walls of water are like the waves of the sea, which stand like a wall. The winds support the waves and lift them up. These waves constitute the 10 walls which stand there permanently, but they are lifted up and supported by the winds. I, however, was able to enter through all 10 walls. I was also able to draw all 10 types of arrows out of the queen's daughter. I also knew all 10 types of pulses and could detect them with my 10 fingers. Each one of the 10 fingers has the power to detect one of the 10 types of pulse. I could then heal her through the 10 types of melody. I thus heal her. Therefore, I have this great power in my hands. I am now giving you this as a gift. When he finished his speech, there was a great joy and tremendous rejoicing. Rabbi Nachman concluded, "It is very difficult for me to tell this story. However, since I have begun it, I am forced to end it. There is not a single redundant word in this story. One who is versed in the sacred literature will be able to understand some of the allusions. The story speaks of arrows and certain power in the hands to turn back arrows. This is related to God's statement, "My hand will grasp judgment."
Yeah,
Rashi
he gives a place. דברים 32,
Deuteronomy 32:41.
41.
Rashi explains this verse saying, when a human being shoots an arrow, he cannot turn it back. But when God shoots an arrow, he can. The concept of charity is seen as being related to the walls of water, which are the waves of the sea. This is alluded to in the verse, "Your charity is like the waves of the sea." Isaiah 48:18. The story speaks of the power of grasping the winds in one's hand. This is alluded to in the verse, "Who gathers up the wind in his palm." Proverbs 30, verse 4. This is related to the concept of melody as mentioned elsewhere. Likutei Moharan 54 in the first volume. The 10 types of melody and 10 types of pulses have been discussed earlier. Rabbi Natan adds, "All this I heard explicitly. However, regarding who, what, and when, the story is very deep." This involves the primary concept of the story itself. Who were the beggars? What were they? When were they? All of this is too deep to be understood. And Rabbi Natan continues, the end of the story would involve the 7th day and the beggar without feet. However, we were not worthy of hearing it. The same is true of the end of the first part of the story, regarding the king who gave over his kingdom to his son during his lifetime. Rabbi Nachman said that he would not tell anymore. This is a great loss. We will not be worthy of hearing it until the Mashiach comes. May this happen quickly in our days, amen. Rabbi Nachman also said, if I knew nothing else other than this story, it would still be very extraordinary. He said explicitly that this story is wonderful and unusual. It contains many moral lessons and Torah lessons, and has in it many Torah concepts and many teachings. It also speaks of many ancient saints. Thus, King David stood at one end of the earth and screamed out to the spring, which issues forth from the stone of the mountain. It's thus written, from the ends of the earth I call to you. When my heart is faint, lead me to a rock that is too high for me. Psalms 61:3. All this I heard from Rabbi Nachman's own mouth explicitly. From his words it is obvious that King David is the heart mentioned in the story, where the heart of the world stands at one end of the world, facing the spring, and screams out in constant desire. Still the ideas are obscure. Happy is he who is worthy of grasping the mystery of these stories.
Okay. So we have four type of power. We can do a Yud Ke Vav Ke, or the Chabad, like the 4 partsufim of the Chabad. The way we put Esav, Yaakov, Yitzchak, Avraham. It's parallel to these 4. The way we do the Aleph.
What's parallel? Which four are you paralleling?
We make this thing many times. Esav, Yaakov.
I mean, which part in the story?
The four kind of power. There was four people that say I have this power.
Oh.
But I don't have the 10 of this kind of power. I have only one.
Mm-hmm.
So then he say I have all the 10.
Yeah.
Also there was four people like this.
Right.
That each one of them have a special power. Is Yitzchak and is Abraham. So, what was the first power? To shoot, to be able to shoot, how you call it,
Arrow.
and to take it back.
Yeah.
This has to do with Tikkun HaMishpat. How you say Mishpat?
Fixing the judgment.
To fix the judgment. ציון במשפט תיפדה ושווה בצדקה. Many times we talk about these two concepts of משפט and צדקה.
Right, judgment and charity.
Alright, so the תיקון המשפט have to do with Esav, משפט, and the תיקון הצדקה have to do with the Rabbi, with Yaakov. Charity. You have to pay the $2 million. Right? ציון במשפט תיפדה ושווה בצדקה זר. I think 34 a mention of these two words together in the Bible. צדקה ומשפט. The 11 blessing in the תפילת שמונה עשרה is מלך אוהב צדקה ומשפט. What parallel to the month of Cheshvan, the month of Chen. The month that Rabbi Ginsburg born and I born too in this month. מלך אוהב צדקה ומשפט. It means this is something that has to do with both of us. It is written, ציון במשפט תיפדה ושווה בצדקה. ציון will be redeemed with a משפט, with a judgment. It means we have to fix the judgment. It's a judgment about Jesus. ושווה, and the ones that do tshuva, the ones that regret, repent for the bad judgment they did, with charity. They have to pay the two million.
Right.
Right? במשפט, בצדקה equal ישו, two times יש, Jesus. There are many verses. במשפט ובצדקה. Just about these two words, we can give all a lesson. So in different verses, there was appear in the Torah. I'm not going to get into all this. So צדקה ומשפט is a couple. משפט, צדקה. This has to do with do not drown in the water when it's a charity. Why? What is a castle of water? מבצר של מים. מבצר של מים. How much equal מבצר? Castle of water.
332.
Menachem Mendel. Alright, so מבצר equal Menachem Mendel. How much equal של מים? מיל, הוא,
420.
ויץ'. Menachem Mendel Milyubavitch. How much equal all together? 752. What is 2 times $1 million? שלום שלום, $1 million. פלוס $1 million. 2 times 376, 2 times $1 million. Alright, so we're talking about money.
Right.
We're talking about the rabbi, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about Chabad. We talk about the rabbi, and we talk about $2 million. Now, this, so we need this, so we will not drown when we go to the castle. What is a plague of blood? The first plague in Egypt. We make from Egypt equal Lubavitch, right? We transform the water to blood, to money. This is the first plague, the first principle of Egyptian. In the moment I give charity, instead of water, now I standing on money. Money put you on your legs, right? הכסף מעמיד את האדם על רגליו. Money put you on your legs. It means in the moment, I have charity. Here we're talking about...
No, you don't need to shed your blood the moment you have charity.
Yeah, in the moment you give charity, so you can stand there. You don't drown. You can really stand there.
Right.
Okay? So we talk about the two first capability. Let's see the verse that he bring. The verse that have to do with Mishpat. So the first verse talk about even we did a bad judgment about Jesus, it can be fixed. That means God can return. Even we cause death. Even we cause a lot of empoisonment.
A lot of what?
Allah.
Oh, poisoning.
Poisoning
Yeah.
of the concept of Mashiach, of Jesus. Even we put a lot of poison there. Still, it can be healed. It can be fixed. So this is the idea of to shut error and to fix it. Now about the charity, he bring. He said, "V'sitkatcha k'galei yam." Your charity is like the
waves of the
the
ocean.
wave of the ocean. Yeshayahu 48:18. All the verse is "Lu ikshafta lemitzvotai." If you would listen to my commandment, "Vayehi kenahar shlomecha," will be like a river. Your peace, Shalom have to do with charity. Now have to do with charity too. ונתתי כנהר שלום. Shalom is $1 million, right? Is לשלם, is to pay. How much equal ויהי כנהר שלומך?
Let your peace be like the river.
ויהי כנהר שלומך. Equals 702.
Shabbat.
What is the holy name that represents the first coming of Jesus? Right? The main thing. And many, many other things that we talk about in the past, right? But the eyes that see everything, etc. Right, so וצדקתך גגלי ים, and your charity like the wave of the sea. וצדקתך כגלי ים. Equals 738. It's a number we saw many times. Mashiach Mamash. Mamash, it's mean real, not water. Real, something real you can stand on it. Mashiach Mamash, it's mean Mamash equal donkey plus horse. There are many, many numbers with, many things with this number is 666 plus 66 plus 6. It's אני דיברתי, you know, we talked in the past about the name of my first book, ציפור מדברת חן. We saw how it's connected to this verse. Me, I talk, the secret of the cross. Me equal cross. ציפור, bird equal in order number equal אני, מדברת, speak equal אני, מדברת in order number. דיברתי in order number equal חן. So ציפור מדברת חן, it's אני דיברתי. me talk. אני דיברתי, במה דיברתי? $2 מיליון. I talk about $2 million. equal חמור בן סוס. donkey son of donkey, it mean אריאל כהן הלורו, son of the horse. equal אריאל donkey. There are many things. Many things. equal זכריה בן ברכיהו בן עידו הנביא. Right.
Special number.
We have many gematria with the name of Zechariah. Alright, so the main thing is Mashiach Mamash, 666. And this expression, Chamor ben Sus, is its expression in the Talmud, in Masechet Kilyayim, in the Yerushalmi, Talmud Yerushalmi. Appears this expression, donkey son of donkey, son of horse. Masechet Kilyayim. How you pronounce?
Kilayim. The tractate of.
You know, all kind of things that not supposed to mix together.
Yeah.
Now, if I take these two parts of the verse together, ויהי כנער שלומך וצדקתך כגלי ים, equal 1440. These two together, it means what is שלום שלום לרחוק ולקרוב. Two times שלום, it means $2 million for the far and for the close. ישעיהו 57:19. equal לעשות משפט וצדקה. שלום, one of the verse of the $2 million. שלום שלום is 752. לרחוק ולקרוב. לרחוק ולקרוב. equal לעשות משפט וצדקה, to do משפט וצדקה. We talk about judgment and charity. One of the many verses that have to do with this concept. This is the Queen of Shva. Say good thing to Shlomo that you are a king, a wise king, that not to do mishpat u'tzedakah, judgment and charity. It is written 3 times Shlomo HaMelech in the Bible. 1 time Li Shlomo HaMelech. So, Li Shlomo HaMelech, to Shlomo HaMelech, plus Shlomo HaMelech, plus Shlomo HaMelech, the only way it is written, the only place it is written, Shlomo the king. Together equal this number 2. 144, it's an important number, we saw it many times. Okay. So, this was an interesting verse.
Yeah.
Paro is going to, is a bad Paro that ran after the Shechina. It is not writing a princess, he write Habat Malka. This is the way he writes the origin in Hebrew, the origin of Breslev we have in Hebrew.
Right, the queen's daughter.
Habat Malka.
Habat Malka.
Habat Malka. לא בת מלך.
Right.
Not the daughter of the king, the daughter of the female king, of the queen. The daughter of the queen. Habat Malka that equal 502. What is היפה בנשים? You know, in Song of Song, the beauty, I will translate.
היפה בנשים, the most beautiful among the women.
Yeah, it's an expression in Song of Song.
Yeah.
היפה בנשים.
Yeah.
Equal אמונה פשוטה. אמונה פשוטה. equal בשר. meat. equal אני אוהב אותך. I love you. There are many things with this number. This is a life of the free father. Avram that lived 175 years, it says that live 180, and Yaakov live 147. Together is 502. There are many things
Wow.
with this number.
I mean, this
Right,
number is,
yeah.
is most famous for being the gematria of blessed is Mordechai and cursed is Haman.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is
that's
true.
the famous.
Yeah.
Place of unification.
That's the fixing of the Malchus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a lot of Shekhinah there in this number.
Mm.
The question, of course, the daughter here, it have to do with the Shekhinah, have to do with Jesus as well, have to do with the seven beggar that represent this concept, talk about this concept. It mean the Shekhinah that fell down to the Sitra Achra, to the evil force. She was married with the bad king,
Right.
right? And now she ran away from Paro. So it is the bad Paro that he will drown in the sea. What put the wall of the water in the sea? He will talk about, when he talk about the power of music that have to do with the wind. It means with the spirit, 10 kind of music, and he bring a verse that mi asaf ruach bechofnav, who collect spirit with his hand. This have to do with the secret of the cross. Now, what is the secret of the cross? To open the sea, so you can walk through. It means you know your way, you know how to realize your will, you know how to go. So the sea become land, you can pass through. So the bad Paro will drown, but the good Paro who gives the charity, he will not drown. He can save. The good Paro, it's like Rabbi Ginsburg. He can save the daughter of the king. He can pass through. He can save her. If he gives the charity, of course. If he pays the 2 million. Okay?
But this also explains, like when Jesus talks about about ruling over, he always says that those that came back with more interest and gave more money, the more money you give, you'll be able to avoid the blood. But those that don't give, their lives are going to be cut short. Those that don't go out and give money, give charity, give, tzedakah. Like there's so many examples of this in the New Testament, and all the Gospels of the more tzedakah, even if you have nothing, even go above and beyond, you'll get more in return.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to do that tikkun of like when he said slay them before me, I was like, well, maybe he's talking about this tzedakah and blood and this dam, and there's this whole concept of dam and dam going on here that we need to look into that fits into the 2 million.
Well, I don't know if you talk about the 2 million.
No, not 2 million specifically, but there's a concept of
It is
tzedakah,
It is a place where you talk about the 2 million.
Yeah, the tzedakah is going to avoid you getting getting killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Tzedakah tatzmi mavet.
if
The
not,
charity
you'll be
will
slain.
save you from death, like it is written. The act of charity will be peace. ונתתי כנהר שלום, I will give the peace like a river. The $1 million, it's like a river.
Right.
A river, nar equal 100 ribo. What is a million in Hebrew? Shalom equal $1 million. This will be like this. So we have a nar in this verse that he bring. ויהי כנר שלומך, your peace will be like a river, and it is another verse in Yeshayahu that ונתתי כנר שלום. I will give
I will give peace like a river.
yeah. Okay, a river equal מהריבו, it's like the same thing like שלום. It's $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So all the concept of Shechina have to do with the number 10. In one way, this is Noach, that is a 10 from the first man. In the other way is Avraham, that is 10 after Noach. Avraham is the 7 beggar. He's a priest. They are connected together. Shechina, it's a pyramid of 10. 1 square plus 2 square plus 3 square. The Shechina, we call it Kala. How do you say Kala?
Bride.
A bride. Kala, it's like Hakol, everything.
Yeah.
And equal a triangle of 10. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, etc.
And also Avraham is also always walking. Lech Lecha. His
Lech Lecha is 10 square.
So the 7th beggar has no legs, but he's the real walker.
Okay. Avraham equal Chamor. Chamor is the one that have problem with his legs.
Yeah.
Chamor with no verb. Avram, his first name is Garem. Chamor Garem. The way Yisachar received his blessing, Yisachar Chamor Garem. The way it is written, Chamor is Avraham. Chamor with no verb.
Right.
Garem
is
Avram with no zehe. Garem it's the bone. Is the bone. And Chamor with no verb is Ramach. Is 248. What is the number of the bone?
The limbs. Yeah.
The secret of the donkey, and the donkey have a problem with his legs. Still, God tell him walk.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the third power is our 10 kind of wisdom. Now we will talk about dofek. Pulse. Wisdom always has to do with life with pulse. Any life has to do with pulse, have pulse. The pulse between the two, between really the sun and the moon that are in the wisdom, like we explain all the time, right? The two inclination. And after we have 10 kind of wind, of spirit, of music,
Right.
to heal the princess. The charity is let you pass the wall, the 10 wall of the how you say Mivtzar?
The castle.
Of the castle. There are 10 wall. There are 10 kind of charity. He call it חומות של מים. חומות של מים.
Walls of water.
Wall of water. Not wall, wall, חומות.
Yeah.
חומות של מים. Equal 880. This is 10 time blood, right?
Right. 20 times blood.
In the plague of Egypt, there are 22 letters of Mem. I write it. We talk about this in the past, in the plague of blood, when God ordered Moses to tell to Aaron to do this plague.
Yeah, to hit the river.
ויאמר השם אל משה לאמור אל אהרון קח אותך ונטה ידך על מימי מצרים. על נהרותיו, על יאוריהם ועל אגמיהם ועל כל מקור מימיהם ועל כל מקווה מימיהם ויהיו דם והיה דם בכל ארץ מצרים ובעצים ובאבנים. Can we translate this?
So
That said to Moses,
Hashem said to Moshe, speak to Aaron and
take
אמור
your
אל אהרון, קח
take
say to Aaron, take your staff and raise your hand over the waters of Egypt on it,
the river,
upon the rivers, their Niles, their lakes, and all their water sources, and
mikveh, amen,
yeah,
and will be blood. We have two times the word blood in this verse.
and let them be blood, and there shall be blood in all the land of Mitzrayim, and in the trees and in the rocks.
Right, so now if I count the letter Mem that appear here, I will find that there are 22 letter Mem.
Mm-hmm.
Mem equal 40, so 22 times 40 equal 880.
880,
Mem
yeah.
is the letter of the water. So it's
Right.
a lot of Mem for one verse.
Wow.
How many Yuds there are? 16. When you write Maim, you have two Mem and one Yud. 16 times Yud. Yud equal 10. 16 times Yud equal 160. What is Kesef? If I write Kesef with a big pay, this equal blood like this. 4 times 40. Now if I write Kesef with a big pay, it will be 880. The number we saw before, 22 Mem.
Right.
Right? 860, 20. So it's 120. What is 2 times 10 times 2 times blood. If I write Yud like this, 16 times Yud like this, I will receive 2 times 2 blood, 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
If I write Mem, if I write if I write blood, if I write blood in filling letter, right, Dalet, Mem,
Mm-hmm.
2 times, right?
Yeah.
This is dam like this, blood like this, equal 514. If there are 2 blood equal
28.
1028. What is $2 million? It's a big noon. 2 million, it's a big noon. Right? $2 million with a big noon equal 1028. In the past we talked about the 2 blemishes that Tamar prepared for Amnon. You remember the story? Amnon fell in love in Tamar.
Yeah.
ותלבב לעיניי שתי לביבות ואברם ידה. She will prepare for me two levivot, 2 blinches, and I will be healed from her hand. Tamar is the rabbi, right? Tamar equals Shemesh, is the sun.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right? Tamar is a rabbi. How much equal Utelabev? Ten times blood. So this is 1 blood. לעיניי שתי, in front of my eyes 2, 880. לביבות,
The same as Tel Aviv.
we have here
Symmetry.
symmetry, the
Yeah.
same letter.
Right.
The same letter, 440, and the two words in the middle equal 880. Right? We teach about this verse in the holiday of Shavuot. We say that we have to eat 2 blinches. In the Haftarah of Shavuot, it is written 2 times Ruach HaChaya ba'ofanim, the spirit of the beast in the ofanim, in the reel. Ruach HaChaya equal blinches, equal Ariel. We say that we have to eat 2 blinches in the holiday of Shavuot. We explain this verse. All the verse equal.
It says what? It says levivot in the Haftarah.
No, in the Haftarah is the Merkava of Yechezkel.
So what do you mean?
In the Haftarah it is written 2 times Ruach HaChaya ba'ofanim. Ruach HaChaya equal blinches. We have 2 blinches, and this has to do with all the verse equal.
Levivot.
Are you translate Levivot in English?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So we say blinches.
Okay.
Because blinches appear in the Haftarah. How you translate Levivot?
Blinches is a lot of levivot.
In him,
I mean,
it can be.
It's like a fried levivot is like it's like what we eat on Hanukkah, the fried.
Yeah.
Potato.
It's a pancake. It can be all
patties,
kind.
Yeah.
It can be blinches too.
I'm trying to think of. Yeah. Fried patties.
Okay. We
Fritters.
in the year when we teach this,
Latkes.
the number of the
Latkes.
year equal when we teach this, the number of the years was 5,700. It was 78. The year of 78. And all the verse equaled the year. It was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. All this verse equal 5,778. All the verse. And equal the holiday of Shavuot, the way it is written in the Bible.
Yeah. So Levivot is latkes. Latkes. Or pancakes, fritters.
Yeah.
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 Because blinches is
Well, the idea that behind all this story, this sixth story of Amnon that fell in love with Tamar, hiding secret of the Mashiach. You know, always think of Mashiach, spark of Mashiach hiding in all kind of six story.
Yeah.
All right, so we have this number 888 in this what equal chomot shel wool of water. So now we know how we pass through, how we make them to stand when we want to pass through the sea. You know, it's all the same idea. Anything else I forgot to talk about? Well, all right, so this is supposed to be the capability of Rabbi Ginsburg. All this power to fix, all right? When he will become a Mashiach, if he will have this power. Right now, I don't see the 10th kind of music. I don't see it there, of course. I prefer my hand in this, when we talk about music. He give another explanation in Likutei Moharan 54 about the connection between the wind and the music. In this Torah of Rabbi Nachman, he talk a lot about the power of imagination and how power of imagination has to do with demons, shedim.
Demons.
It means, what is a demon? It's like somebody that was not created completely, have no body, physical body. So basically Rabbi Nachman is very against power of imagination. But he says that what fixes the power of imagination is the hand. It means the power of the music. Music is power of imagination too, but it came through the hand. It means it is a body. You know, like a soul have a bad spirit, so you need the music. When the spirit is no good, it's a false prophecy. It's demon. We create demon. Right. So he talk all this Torah allowed against power of imagination. It's like power of the snake. לנחש, to guess. It's from the word נחש. נחש ונחש איש אשר כמוני. In the moment you guess,
Guessing and imagination are connected.
yeah, it's something that is not based on body. It's just water, it's just wind, it's just something that is not completely real. Also, we have to give him body.
Right.
And to give him body, this is the power of the player. You don't talk about the music, you talk about the negina, the power of the player in his hand. That with his hand he holds the spirit.
Right.
With his hand he holds the spirit. מי אסף רוח בחופניו, right? All right. So I think we're done with the 7 beggars. All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Good evening.